FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
So last year, Chris and I spent 2 months with an unusual community of chimps in West Africa who are making us rethink the nature of chimps and the boundaries between apes and early humans. People have been studying chimps now for about 45 years in the wild, and our understanding of them has evolved. We used to regard them as distant relatives.
But now we can appreciate them as close cousins with the same kind of family lives and enduring bonds as we have. This is a mother with her newborn baby taking a nap balanced on a tree branch.
We recognize chimps have personalities and discerning minds. This is where thinking about chimps was shaped for decades. A corner office in Washington, D.C. The lady behind the desk is Mary Smith, a legendary picture editor at National Geographic, now retired, who worked with many of the major scientists, writers, and photographers of our time. And the man in that picture behind her was one of them. Louis Leakey, paleontologist renowned for his discoveries about early humans in East Africa. Leakey believed that we could learn about early humans from living apes, which is a radical idea when he proposed it in the late 50s.
Just as radical was Leakey's belief that women might be better suited to studying apes in the wild than men, because he felt they were more sensitive and have more patience. It was Louis who encouraged Jane Goodall to go to Africa and to study chimps. At that time, Jane was a young woman with no experience at all.
Louis also handpicked Dian Fossey to study mountain gorillas.
And he tapped Barute Galdikas to go to Borneo to work with orangutans. All of those studies have changed the way we now regard apes and ourselves.
This is our extended family. The gibbons in the upper left are considered apes too, because they have no tails and share other characteristics with the rest of the group, but we're really concerning ourselves with the guys down below.
We used to think that humans branched off from apes some 12 million years ago, but fossil finds and DNA studies now put us in much closer proximity.
And in this updated diagram, you can see that orangs branched off first, gorillas separated as a lineage 10 million years ago, and humans went their own ways only 5 million years ago. But note that the split between chimps and bonobos occurred even more recently. Except for orangs, all great apes alive today occur only in Africa, and their range is limited by the distribution of forest. Chimps occur here, and they coexist with gorillas in some areas. Bonobos do not overlap with either chimps or gorillas. They're only found south of the Congo River, which acts as a species barrier.
Only a half dozen communities of chimps have been studied on a long-term basis, and the newest one is Fongoli in Senegal. Every time a study is initiated in a different environment, we learn how much chimp behavior can vary, and the notion of chimp culture is an idea that has taken hold. Jill Preetz is the latest ape lady, and her recent discoveries about chimps using weapons became front-page news around the world.
It turns out that all previous chimp studies had been done in deep tropical forest, and Jill is the first person to look at chimps living in savanna woodland. She's interested in finding out how these different conditions influence their behavior, and whether it can help us understand our own early days as upright apes in the open. Because the habitat here in Fongoli consists of patchy forests broken by rocky plateaus, chimps spend more time on the ground and they travel much further than forest chimps. What you see here is a savanna chimp walking across an open grassland.
But what you can imagine is early humans in a similar setting. Australopithecus afarensis lived 3.6 million years ago, and the fossil footprints they left behind indicated they were bipedal.
Savanna woodland is where apes became humans. And in southeast Senegal, at the edge of the chimpanzees range, where forests yield to grasslands, you can find that kind of environment.
This is where we joined Jill, in a village called Fongoli. For 2 months, we lived pretty close to the ground. Our only real meal of the day was usually after dark, rice with peanut sauce or green stuff made from forest leaves prepared by women in the village. You just had to make sure the dogs didn't get to it before you did.
And Bully, the chief of Fongoli, was our main guide in the field. He could not read, he could not write, he'd never met a photographer in his life, but he had an amazing sense of the chimps and where we should position ourselves.
But working with the chimps is not a 9-to-5 job. It's 5 to 9. You have to get up at 4 a.m. to find the chimps before they wake up at dawn. When they move, they can melt away in the forest like ghosts. You carry 40-pound packs and hike 10 miles a day in 110-degree temperatures.
We're here at the Petit Caravani Trajet.
Once you find the chimps, there are other problems. Sweat bees can drive you nuts. And you walk, and you don't always know where you are.
I think we lost the chimps.
Almost.
So you try again, and some days you luck out.
There's mayhem. Male chimps beating each other up, chasing each other through the trees. Extraordinary.
When the males get wild, the females get out of the way. A male goes upright to look bigger than he is. But the best time to get close to chimps is when they take their midday siesta. A mother relaxes with her baby, and Frans catches their attention. One day we watched 2 young chimps going in and out of a tree hole and realized there's a beehive with honey inside. They were like kids at a cookie jar. At dusk, we hike back to the village and review our work.
Oh, nice.
That's Nellie,
Yes, right? Nellie. Doesn't she look good?
Yeah.
And lightning illuminates the night.
I should say that this is Chris Eckstrom, of course, my wife and partner, and she shoots all the video while I do the still photography. Here are some of the chimps we got to know individually. This is Lupin, an up-and-coming male, strong, handsome. He's about 15 years old.
And this is Juf. Males are always watching each other, looking for opportunities to gain an edge.
Fuduku is the alpha male. He's cultivated an interesting leadership style. He leads from the rear. He avoids confrontation, but he's really good at networking, popular with the ladies. Living proof that building alliances can be just as effective as displaying aggression.
Lucille is always popular, even when she's not in estrus, as indicated here by her genital swelling. She's still carrying 4-year-old Lex on her back, who's overdue to be weaned.
Nicole just had her first baby, Teva. He's 6 weeks old.
The young ones are the most curious and would approach to check us out until their moms pulled them back, essentially telling them, "Don't talk to strangers."
And this is Ross. Chimps in the wild rarely live beyond 40 years, but Jill thought Ross might be close to 50.
Ross is nearly blind and he can barely hear. His teeth are gone. It's tough growing old in the wild.
Chimps are omnivores like us, and we have inherited our food taste from our common ancestors. And when you see what chimps eat, you get a better appreciation for our own diet, for better or for worse. Chimps eat lots of greens, foliage of all kinds. But they love fruits, which are high in sugars and easy to digest. And when Saba fruit is in season, the chimps gorge themselves.
Honey is pure energy and the chimps love it. This young male found a beehive in a tree hole and licks the sweet stuff off his hand.
So we laid out a typical chimp diet. Fresh leaves, different kinds of fruit, and inside that one cut piece of fruit in the center is a pile of termites, a great source of protein.
And here's what we ate during the day. Granola bars and beef jerky brought from the US, local eggs, peanuts, and vegetables, and lots of water, a gallon each per day.
Seeing chimps fish for termites gives you an appreciation for the value of protein, which is a scarce commodity in the wild. Chimps spend hours prying termites out of their mounds with stems.
Author Mary Roach, who was with us in the field, was intrigued by termite fishing. And with researcher Stephanie Bogart, she decided to give it a try.
Past couple of days I've been watching chimps fish for termites, and now I want to see for myself just what it takes. And now first we need to get a branch
Yep.
and strip the leaves.
Yep. So here's a pretty good one right here.
Does this look like a good one?
No, you want to take something that's new here. So the green
This one?
here. Yep.
Okay.
Just kind of slide your mouth. There you go.
But it's no problem for the chimps. They push a stem into the termite mound. The soldiers attack and cling to it.
Nobody's coming out. Not getting any termites. I'm secretly thrilled. The chimps make it look so easy.
Yeah, they do.
Right
They
here?
think they're doing everything right, but the termites aren't biting. Young Fanta hasn't quite perfected the technique, but she's still getting results.
Okay, we have a minor soldier, very angry individual. The trick is to bite the head off with the pinchers before the pinchers bite you.
Pretty much,
Correct?
yes.
Okay,
So, and if you're talented, that'll happen.
and if you're not, you're in trouble.
If you're not, then you're going to have a sore mouth.
And
You're going to eat it.
I'm gonna eat it. This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And chimps do this every day. And in fact, chimps like it, right? They love this food. This is their favorite food.
Well, I don't know about favorite, but
Well, yeah, but they spend a lot of time doing this. They go to great effort to eat this delicacy that I'm about to try. And all right, so here we go. It tastes like nothing. It's just very different. You ought to try it.
Mary. Apes are shaped to swing through trees. Long arms and short legs work well for that lifestyle.
Why and when apes first began to spend time on the ground is still uncertain, but it definitely changed the way they moved.
Knuckle walking is the gait chimps use on the ground. They're halfway up.
But when they run, they can come up even higher. Chimp feet have elongated toes designed to grip.
Compare that with human feet, which are flatter, adapted for life on the ground, as shown by this forest-dwelling Indian in the Amazon.
Watching this chimp walking upright across a liana, hands-free, provokes the question, did bipedalism actually get a start in trees before apes changed their lifestyles? Here's one reason for going bipedal: aggression. This male frees his hands to pick up a big rock to throw it at a rival.
Chimps are very emotional, and they express that all the time through a wide range of vocalizations, but they also use body language and other nonverbal clues to communicate, like piloerection, hair standing on end.
But here's something else is erect too. Mamadou is signaling his desires to a female in estrus.
It's Tia, with a swelling so big she can barely sit straight. And this happens every 35 days. Well, I'm grateful for evolution.
Male aggression has a flip side: bonding. After every scuffle, male chimps have to make up, otherwise they could not live together in the same group.
So what distinguishes us from chimps? We used to think it was tool use, but then Jane Goodall saw chimps make tools to fish for termites, something we now know is widespread.
But Jill Preetz has seen chimps take a big step beyond tool use. She's holding a tree branch that was made into a spear by a Fongoli chimp. And we actually brought one of these unique items with us here. This is a spear we collected in Fongoli. It looks like a tree branch, but it is actually fathomed into a weapon. Jill had seen chimps do this only a handful of times, so we knew the odds were against us to document this behavior when we went to Senegal. But it worked out. These are the very first photos of this unique behavior. A young male is chewing off a branch and gets it ready to use it as a probe and as a skewer as he searches for a bush baby in a tree hole.
And now we'd like to share an excerpt from a new Nova TV special broadcast by PBS called Ape Genius. It incorporates the exclusive footage of spearing that I was able to capture on video.
Throughout Africa, chimps eat almost anything, and they have a particular taste for meat. Here, their favorite prey is the bush baby, a small nocturnal primate. But these chimps aren't catching bush babies bare-handed. Preetz has seen chimps making spears and using them to hunt. To make a spear, a chimp starts by breaking off a branch, then sharpening the tip. All in the quest to catch a bush baby in its daytime sleeping hollow.
So the next step would be that the chimp would approach the cavity and sometimes look in, take the tool, jab forcefully into the cavity multiple times.
It may not be ice pick sharp, but when driven by an arm up to 5 times as strong as a human's, it's a potentially lethal weapon.
They always either sniff it or lick it when they withdraw the tool. What they may do is actually break open the entire cavity, and if they're lucky, find a bush baby inside.
Break, strip, sharpen, stab. These chimps take a series of distinct steps in a carefully premeditated hunt. A chimp is inspecting a hollow, looking for a bush baby. She breaks off a branch and makes a spear.
The first time I saw a chimp make a tool, I think I said something like, "Where is she going and what is she going to do with that tool?"
She nibbles the tip to sharpen it. Then, with the aid of her foot, she aims the point into a hollow. Preetz has made a landmark discovery. Never before has any non-human species been known to routinely make and use deadly weapons.
Clearly, these Fongoli chimps have developed a unique culture. What triggers that kind of innovation? Well, stress might be one answer.
For part of the year, Fongoli looks like tropical Africa, green and lush.
For half the year, it's bone dry. Fongoli is at the edge of the chimps' range. Not far to the north of it, the Sahara begins. Life here can be really tough, and you have to get inventive to survive.
There's more that distinguishes Fongoli chimps than spear use alone. At the end of the dry season, it gets brutally hot, and chimps seek out the first rain puddles to cool off, belly down.
Until now, the common wisdom was that chimps don't like water, they avoid it.
But not in Fongoli. The chimps are regular visitors at a secluded water hole where we set up our camouflaged cameras at the edge. And what follows is a short video clip that captures some remarkable behavior. First, one male appeared and entered the pool. As we watched from a place nearby. Nobody had seen chimps crouching waist deep in water like this before. But it was so hot that the water hole became a soaking tub. 5 males piled in at once, all aggression set aside. The pool was like a truce.
The Fongoli chimps live in a forest they share with humans. It's not some pristine remote place. And people come to collect the same saba fruit that the chimps eat.
And then they take it away.
What used to be just for local consumption has become a cash crop. More stress for the chimps.
We witnessed confrontations between Johnny, who works for Jill, and fruit collectors.
And we realized that it is individuals like Johnny who can make a huge difference on the ground.
Because most of Senegal looks like this. The forest is gone.
It's a tragedy of the commons.
Chimp populations in West Africa have decreased dramatically during Ross's lifetime. They've gone down by 70% in the last 30 years. But Fongoli shows that chimps and humans can actually live together.
For all their lives, Ross and Mbuli have been neighbors, sharing the forest because here local beliefs discourage killing chimps for bushmeat, a practice that has devastated populations elsewhere.
Mbuli and Jill and Johnny and the villagers of Fongoli are key to the survival of this outpost of chimp culture. And Jill has started a project called Neighbor Ape to try and ensure a future for the chimps.
What else will these chimps show us if we give them time and a little bit of space? Here's one more precious glimpse.
This is Farafa and her infant daughter, Fanta. This was Fanta's first visit to the waterhole. First, she tested the water with a leaf. And then we watched as she discovered her own reflection. Self-recognition is another thing we say sets humans apart. But as we watched Fanta play with her reflection, we can only wonder what goes on in her mind.
This is Teva. She's the only baby born in the Fongoli group the summer we were with them. And she's probably one of less than 20 chimps born in all of Senegal that year.
Whether there is a future for wild chimpanzees will be determined within Teva's lifetime. We think this is a matter of great moral significance.
But all that we now know about them and what ties us together, this is nothing less than a family decision. And we owe it to our own children and to theirs to do the right thing. We'd like to finish our show by taking you back to the forest one more time. But now we would like to let the chimps speak for themselves. Even though we've been listening to them for a few decades now, we've only just begun to hear what they're saying. It's a new language, and much of it is still not accessible to us. Thank you. Thank you.